heard the Ponte de Lice Male Choir under its conductor, Noel Davis. And if you're in a hurry this morning, the time is 23 minutes past 8. On January the 16th, the new minister of Bethany Baptist Church, 6 Bells in Monmouthshire, takes up her appointment. I say her appointment because the new minister is Mrs. Peggy Newell-Lewis, wife of an Abertillery headmaster. And so Mrs. Newell-Lewis joins that very small band of lady ministers in Wales. Mrs. Newell-Lewis, congratulations on your church appointment. Had you always hoped and intended to join the ministry?
I think I can say that I have always had that desire.
How much experience of church work have you had?
Well, I was taken to the church in which I am now at the age of 3, and I passed through all the departments of church life, Sunday school teaching. I was a secretary for 13 years, and of course I'm a deacon of many years standing, as is also my husband, and my mother, and my dear father was too.
And you've been a lay preacher?
For 18 years.
How about church services such as births and marriages and burials?
Oh, dedications and marriages and burials. Oh yes, I've taken those all in my stride during the years.
You're not the only lady minister in Wales, but there are very, very few of you. Why is this, do you think?
Well, I think perhaps it is the attitude of people has not yet turned towards the acceptance of women in the ministry. I think, of course, that they're going to have to, because there are so few young men coming forward now.
Do you think that a woman will have the authority that one expects from a minister?
Yes, I think so. I think it depends on the woman, the makeup of the person.
Perhaps that's a question I ought to ask your husband. Mr. Lewis, do you think that your wife will have the authority necessary in this area, which is a mining area, and therefore makes it much more of a tough assignment?
Perhaps my wife wouldn't care that I should mention this, but there was an awful tragedy happened opposite us some weeks ago when a young man who was an under-manager, had studied for many years and making a success of his career, was unfortunately killed in the colliery, and the neighbours, the opposite, asked my wife if she would conduct the service. And when we came to the cemetery, around the grave there were these hundreds and hundreds of men gathered round in a circle, and in the centre was my wife at the graveside. And although perhaps she wouldn't say so, numbers of the men afterwards spoke to me and said how impressed they were with the service at the graveside.
Mrs. Lewis, it would be very different, wouldn't it, for a lady to join the ministry who had family commitments?
Oh, I think she might. I think she might, because I think if a church loves its minister, whether it is a man or a woman, that church would make allowances. Probably, I should think, surround that woman with the love and patience that would be necessary at a time like that. Wait for her to come back and then help her bring up her children, because after all, a church is a family.
And Mrs. Newell-Lewis takes up her new appointment at 6 Bells on January the 16th.